Hello, I'm Joe Blow, and today I'm working on 98, 99, 98 Buick Lesabre. It's making some funny noises. It's probably got a bad pump in the transmission or something. You put it in drive and drive it around, and only in drive makes a crap load of noise. So this guy got a new transmission, a reman. I'll be putting it in. I was just screwing around. I put this bar in here and I wrapped a chain around the mount because I got to support the engine somehow. It's got this bar back here too, this strut bar. I put a 1-inch heavy duty strap on that too. It's supported in the front by a mount, so really you only need to support the rear. I just thought I'd do that first just to make sure I got that figured out. You could probably use a 4x4 or something. I don't know. If you're going to do this job, figure something out. Alright, I'm going to start on this thing. I'm going to start by getting this air cleaner out of my way. Little guy's living in here. Oh, I found a peanut. Oh, there's no peanut. Something ate it. You know, you want to get this this connector off of here. You're supposed to squeeze it and pull it just like that. Yeah, see, you just squish it like this. You got this bolt here on a shifter you want to take off. It's a 15 millimeter. And you got these two bolts here, 13 millimeters. Get this bracket off of here. You can take this, just flop it out of the way. And you got two bolts for this, or 13 millimeters. There, just leave it all plugged in. I'm just going to get these, there's like, I think 3 bell housing bolts on top here I'm going to get off. They're 18 millimeters. Another one down there. This guy right here. The center axle nut's got to come off. Size I got here, I got an inch and 5/16 socket. I don't know what that is in metric. It's probably like a 32, maybe a 34. I don't know. I've had this socket forever, so I never had to buy the metric equivalent. Okay, now I just leave the column unlocked so I can turn this wheel here and get at this. It's got a cotter pin on it. Got to get off somehow. Normally I just use the side cutters. Cut the thing off or something. It can be a real pain to get out sometimes. Yeah, I'm not getting that thing out, so I'm just going to try to do this without making a mess of things. On that axle, hopefully I got some enough room to get this on here. Put a box end on it. Come on. There, I just broke it. There'll be they'll still be stuck in the hole of the ball joint, but when I get this out I can just take a punch or something and pound what's left of it out of the hole. Sometimes that's the only way to get these things out of here. Now, a lot of people use a pickle fork or something to separate this ball joint because that's a tapered seat right there, so it's stuck really good. But when you use a pickle fork, you end up ripping the rubber boot. So that's a really bad idea. I don't like doing that at all because it'll rust up. You'll lose all the grease, and then it won't last. So I'm going to take this grease zerk out of here so I don't damage it. I'm just going to hit it with a hammer. Hit it with a hammer a few times really hard, and it should loosen up that seat. There it is, I got it. This actually has a broken sway bar. You can see, like half broke. He actually bought a new one for me to put in. Normally what I do with these though is I just put them back, weld it all up, and put a new link in it. Just put a vice grip on the top of this. It's like a really big hex nut on the top. The bottom's a 13 millimeter. You just get in here with a really big pry bar and pry down on this. Pull this out of the way. There's a 10 millimeter right here. Right there, 10 millimeter. You want to take that off for the brake line bracket. I actually made this pry bar a long time ago. It's got a nice bend to it. You can get in a lot of different stuff with that. You might dribble a little fluid on you. And you just do the same with the other side. Now I got to take these covers off. This one on the inner fender. Yeah, they put this third one in a really good spot. Yeah, just do the same. Get the other side out. These are all 10 millimeters for this cover here. Yeah, these are 7 millimeters. Alright, I'm going to drain as much of the tranny fluid out of here as I can because I don't like making messes. There, I'll let that drip for a very long time. I don't like to rush that because the faster you go, the bigger mess you make. So I'm just going to let it drip and then I'll get back to it. Yeah, well, that's drooling. I can get these tranny lines off. These are a 16 millimeter. Sometimes the nut on the transmission turns, which it is. You got to hold that with like an 18. Yeah, 18 millimeter, like this and this. There. And there's a 10 millimeter up here you're going to want to get off too. Yeah, now I can get these lines out. Now that the transmission pan's done drooling, I can tighten it all back up so it doesn't leak anymore. This is a rubber gasket. They say it's reusable. If you got a cork one on here, you might not get away with getting this thing to seal when you tighten it back up. And if you can't get away with getting it to seal when you tighten it back up, you're probably best off just taking the pan off to drain it all the way out and then putting the pan back on. And it shouldn't drip on you. Unless, of course, you're like every other amateur and you don't care and you make a mess and get 7 quarts of tranny fluid all over your garage floor. That's just something I'm not willing to do anymore. Okay, now whenever I do a reman, I like to use this stuff, cooler clean. You get it at Napa. That's the only place I've ever found it. And it cleans the transmission lines, especially if you got one that doesn't work anymore, because you don't want all that old nasty fluid to go in a brand new transmission. These things come with an adapter too that screws on, but it's like it screws onto a regular transmission line for like a GM from 1972. So most of the time you got to cut the line and you got to try to adapt something to get it to fit. So yeah, I got all kinds of different lines and stuff on here. Yeah, it's pretty idiot proof, you know. You kind of want to go slow at first because this line is going to make a huge sloppy mess. And you just kind of push the stuff through ever so slowly so it doesn't spit all over the place. And then once you get the whole shot in here, this stuff cleans these lines really good. Just run the whole damn can through it. Yeah, see all that black stuff? I don't know if you can see it or not, but all that crap, it gets it really clean. Yeah, just run the can, run it through. You'll get your line all nice and clean. The can's like 12 or 13 bucks, but let me tell you, it's worth every penny. I did a Chrysler once, and I put a can of this through there, and there was plastic chunks coming out of here. Yeah, a lot of these remanufacturers, they tell you that you have to replace the radiator or the transmission cooler. And, well, they don't, you know, if your transmission goes bad, it's not like they say, oh, you didn't replace the cooler, you know. I've never heard them say that before. But yeah, they tell you to replace it for good reason. This stuff's got to be clean. And this can of stuff works very good. And there it is. It'll be clean. And now there's a couple of plastic covers on here I got to take off. 10mm bolts. There's two here, and then there's one that's kind of on this car. It's kind of hidden. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there, right where my finger is pointing. There's the starter right there. So it's right around the starter. Yeah, you can't really see it. You got to get it off with a 10mm wrench. I'm gonna get that. Yeah, I got it unbolted. That thing's stuck. It won't come out of here. I'm just going to leave it sit there. I'm just going to leave it hang. I'll take the transmission out and see what happens to it. The next thing I'm going to do here is disconnect this rack and pinion. Got some 15mm here. And they're really tight usually. And there's one in this hole too. 15mm. Yeah, you won't be able to see it, but there's a little plastic connector here that holds these power steering lines down. There's a 10mm on it. That's got to come off. Yeah, that's nice and loose now. Well, I got these two 15mm on this side. Try to get these off. They're usually on there really tight. I'm going to double wrench it. Well, this rack and pinion should be loose. Yup, loose as a goose. Okay, now I got to strap this thing up here with a bungee cord or something somehow. That should hold it. See that? I got it up there. Then I just wrapped it around a bunch of stuff and got it looped around here and up there and over there. I don't know, you just got to be creative. I love saying that. Be creative. It's going to stay up there on its own now, so I don't have to disconnect any of that. Now I have some 15mm mounts I need to disconnect. dog bone off. I don't know if I showed you that or not. Can't remember. Yeah, that unbolts from the transmission. I'm just going to leave that flopping around. Okay, I'm just looking around here, making sure there's nothing else connected to this cradle. I see there's a connector right here I gotta get off. Little bugger. Put that in a nice spot. Okay, got that off. Now there's 6 18mm bolts in this cradle. That one broke. These are rusted out really bad too. Look at this. See how rusted those are? Those are not good. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta get that one out now. Just a little stuck. Well, I think I'm going to end up buying a cradle for this thing. This mount's almost totally rusted through. I don't know what these others are going to be like. I'd have to take them apart just to see. But yeah, I'm sure they're not... Oop, that one came off. Yeah. That one's still kind of there. Kind of rusted as shit. Welcome to the Rust Belt. Oh my God. Okay, so I don't know, I text this guy, Mikey. Maybe I'm gonna have to get a cradle for this and some bolts and mounts and stuff. In the meantime, while Mikey's stewing over the little dilemma I have, I'm gonna torch this thing and try not to start anything on fire. Try not to melt the carpet. Okay, I got that out. Nice. Yeah, I lost a little video, but you got to get the flywheel bolts out next after you get this cradle out. I use a 24mm socket on the crank pulley, and you just get up here with I use a swivel socket and a long extension, and just turn it till you can access it. If you don't have all that stuff, you can use a wrench, and that black cover I took off, you can get at them right here. And then once you do that, there's 3 of them. When you get those out, just push the torque converter in all the way and make sure it's nice and loose. As long as it's loose, it's right as rain. Yeah, these are the bolts. 3 of them, little stubby 18mm. After that, there's a bracket right here with 3 13mm bolts on it. I already got those out too, pretty much. There's one there, and there's one right here. And then after you get those out, you got a couple bolts right here, 13mm. I use a swivel socket on them. You can probably get a small extension on it. You're definitely not going to get these out when the cradle's in it. You got to get the cradle out first to get at these bolts. Okay, this bracket should come right out somehow. Maybe. This oil pressure switch has got to come off like 1 1/16. Gee, I don't know what that is in metric. 23 millimeters. Suppose you can use a MacGyver wrench for this of some kind too. They're really not that tight. It's tapered pipe. When you put this back on though, you want to put some thread tape on it of some kind. Or some PTFE, putty, whatever you call that crap. It's going to drip, so hope you got a drain pan. Hey, you don't want to forget to put that back on. You run the car and it'll just spit 30 pounds of oil pressure right out of there. Okay, now that I got that oil pressure switch out, might be able to see what I'm after. Way back there, there's an 18 millimeter bolt you're going to want to get at. You need a 3-foot extension for that. That's your last bell housing bolt. There it is. This is my Harbor Freight transmission jack. These are pretty nice, especially for the price. It's really fair. Okay, if I'm right about this, I got one more bolt holding this in. I should just give this transmission a little wiggle and it should come out. Seems like it's stuck on this side. I'm going to give it a little pry down by the starter. There it is. It's a tight fit, but it comes out of there. If you're doing this on a garage floor without a lift and a jack, you're going to want to take that dipstick tube out. I didn't bother. I figured it'd come out. I think that's it.